Can also tell you about what we did last night. I brought our gift in. I brought the gift.
Oh, you did? I did not bring ours.
I did.
I figured we would at some point at least.
Yeah. So, and whatever. We can always have this conversation. Joe and I were at the Upper Niagara Chamber of Commerce Awards last night. They asked us to MC, which we did. And if you want to have us MC an event, I guess ask us to, because they asked and we did it. And they gave us gifts. I got a new hat today. And it's a pretty good hat. I'll show everybody on the YouTube
Might be the best
chat.
hat I've ever seen.
It's pretty darn good. It's a train conductor hat, and it's got a patch on it that says wide receiver train.
Yes.
So
it's an actual train conductor
should I wear
hat.
this on Fridays? Like, what days should we wear the wide?
I think you should wear it every day until the draft.
Yeah.
Or Fridays.
There's a small
draft Fridays, going into the weekend, the train conductor hat. You got to wear it on draft day, of course.
We're going to run into a small problem
if
here.
they have a pick still.
Maybe this is a problem, maybe not. Adam Schefter said it a couple days ago. Mike Giannetti of Spot Track said it with us as well, that this year is going to be about trades. The free agents, and this is like league-wide. You want a player, you're going to have to trade for one. The difference makers in free agency, maybe not there like years past. You might not love the market. And turning to a draft pick to try to make a difference. I just saw a piece at NFL.com. Gennaro Felice did NFL rookie report cards, grading and ranking every team's 2025 draft class. And should Brandon Beane be going into this year thinking the thing that gets me through the playoff wall is, yes, my new coaching staff, but also my draft class? Like, should the Bills think their draft class is going to be what makes a difference? Or if you're trying to push through the playoff wall, is it more likely free agents, established vets, guys on the team are going to be the difference? The reason I bring this up is that Gennaro Felice, who wrote this piece, grading and ranking every team's 2025 draft class at NFL.com, I could just tell you where he ranked the Bills instead of having you guess, but if you want to guess, you can. Where'd the Bills draft class rank, according to him, after 1 year of the 2025 draft class?
15th.
31st.
Wow.
Yeah, 31st.
Really?
Well, was
it that bad? I mean,
it was pretty incomplete.
Because Harrison didn't really play.
Harrison started 3 games. He played in 11 games. TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, he looked
relatively good, though, in the 11 games.
Sanders or Harrison?
Harrison.
He looked fine.
Sanders was not good at the start.
But their best rookie was probably Deion Walker, who played a lot.
Right.
Jackson Hawes contributed a bunch as well. But
Landon Jackson was a total
He gave him a
miss
C. He gave him a
so
C minus. And
all right,
when you're picking where the Bills are picking, it can be harder to get the bona fide blue chip talent. It can also be harder to get immediate contributions. Like, if they want an impact player right away, what's the most likely way you would say you can have an impact player? It's a trade. It's not a draft pick. They need to find a way, if they want to get an impact player, to get them over the hump or through the playoff wall or whatever you want to say. Like, it's a trade.
But it's not.
Is that what?
Because it's harder doesn't mean that excuse gets used so often because they pick at the end of the first round. How come Baltimore doesn't have that problem? How come Baltimore picks at the end of the first round every year and they draft? This year was Malachi Starks, Nate Wiggins, Zay Flowers, Tyler Linderbaum, Rashad Bateman. These are all players that went in the final 5 picks of the first round. They're all impact players.
Bateman might be a stretch.
Maybe not, right, but he's a better receiver than anything the Bills have, right? Compare Bateman to Keon Coleman, and it's like a blowout, right? And there are other guys. I can go back to Patrick Queens and whatnot, and Hollywood Browns. How come that team doesn't have problems nailing a starter minimum every single time they pick in the 20s?
I guess I'm not really getting at starter so much as I'm getting at immediate impact.
Yeah,
like Maxwell Hairston is a starter. He was not.
Right.
Injury was probably a factor here. Immediate impact. And Keon Coleman was a starter because he had to be. Was he immediate impact? Debatable. Dalton Kincaid, right? They draft him. Was he immediate impact? Yeah, sure. But we're still kind of waiting to see the best that he has to offer. And, for a team that made the bold move at head coach, I just wonder if the GM is going to have an appetite to make a sunglasses trade where everyone's going to be sending the picture out.
Beam's back.
Big Baller Bean is back, right? There's beers named after him for that kind of stuff. And we haven't seen that move in a while. So whether that's pick up the phone on the Waddle trade, pick up the phone on a Brian Thomas Jr. trade,
yep,
Like, where's the guy you can get if it's a second-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr.? Is that a good idea? I feel like, yes.
I think it is. I think those are the types of players that might make the most sense for them, or not even the Max Crosbys, the Justin Jeffersons, the guys that are on $30 million contracts. What about the guy that's really talented and is not yet at that big extension, that is at a $1, $2, $3 million contract for the next couple of years, and his team has some reason for wanting to move on from him? Like, that's Thomas, right? The reason there is they've kind of replaced him in the depth chart, and also they didn't draft him, and he's coming off a down year. So any idea like that's probably got to be a buy low, because nobody that's great is getting traded on that deal.
Yeah.
So you probably have to take on some risk, and that's where Thomas would be in on that. Your risk is there's a lot of drops, and he just had a bad year, but your upside is look at the rookie season. Look how explosive he is. Look at what he's capable of, what you've seen.
Even that, it's like his upside is that he is siloed into the role you need. That's what he does. The vertical routes, play on the outside and win vertically and intermediate routes.
Right, it's the type of player
that's the perfect fit. And I guess the flip side of it is with the second-round pick there, he's cheap. He's cheap on salary.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So, all right, we'll take a 2-year flyer, but does that feel like it's throwing away a second-round pick because you're only getting 2 years out of it? You can make the case. I mean, Jacksonville moving off of him after he's taken – in the 20s, 2 years later.
It's like a smaller version of what the Diggs trade was a little bit. Yes,
sure.
I am foregoing my benefit of getting a player of that caliber on a very cheap deal, but in exchange, I am eliminating some of the risk that player is not going to be able to contribute for me. And Thomas is not the same because he's not Diggs. He's not as good a player as Diggs. I'm not spending as much as I was
If they're trading him, it's probably not a second, right? We're talking now a third or a pick slide.
Probably I don't know.
He's drafted 20th.
The fact that you do have 2 years on, next year, the team acquiring Brian Thomas would get him for $2 million.
You also have
Jacksonville knows that. They're going to look at you and say, you're going to give us a second instead of a third because your alternative for a player like that is spending $20 million on Alec Pierce.
That's true. You also have the 5th-year option, which would keep him cheapish, or at least it's
3 years of control.
3 years of control with the ability to extend whoever makes that deal if, in fact, Brian Thomas Jr. does get moved.
Right, so a guy like that.
No.
I'd say Jordan Addison's on the list too, but he can't keep the off-the-field problems. So I don't know how many other ideas are there like that.
Brad and Hammers.
I'd have to find a safety, or maybe there's another edge rusher out there that kind of fits that same profile.
Yeah. Is there a Giants edge rusher that's in the mix there?
Dexter Lawrence has been talked about being traded, but that's not that because he's big money.
About Kayvon Thibodeau.
Maybe. Is he on a big contract, though?
Not yet. I don't think so.
So then he would fit.
Brian in Hamburg. Brian, good morning. Sorry, Brad. Brad. Yeah, hey, Brad.
Oh, good. PR is right. Guys, I want to talk about the possibility that I haven't heard it mentioned too often here. Kyle Shanahan went out and said that they're ultimately going to sever ties with Brandon Aiyuk. I know you guys were big components of him a couple of years ago before he signed that big extension. Is that someone that you could see them bringing in? I mean, it might be a better Sal question if they could get the financials right. I'm not sure how much that contract San Francisco would pay, but if they release him, would it be like a Gabe Davis type deal where they would ultimately be paying the bulk of the salary and we could get him on a 1 year, $1 million, $10 million, whatever flyer?
Thanks, Brad. I'm waiting for what's going to happen there. They are going to void all of his guarantees because they
already did.
They voided his guarantees, which what that means on a tradable contract or whatever, or just outright releasing him. The reason you probably can't get him for 1 year and $1 million is because there should be 10 teams knocking down the door for him, even though the situation is strange. That's one that in the GM group chat, they got to all be honest with each other or ask the Niners, ask John Lynch, what's the story here? He's an incredible talent. I have no idea how it's going to go.
Lynch did confirm, not that this is a surprise, that he's played his last snap for the team.
He's not going to play for the Niners.
He's not going to play for the Niners.
So he will be available. I don't know how that will happen. I do know, Joe, in the Dynasty League that you and I are in together, I have been holding that asset because if he ever comes back, he's amazing.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, do I want the Bills to take that chance? If it's 1 year, $1 million, 100 times out of 100. If it's a second-round pick, I don't know. The talent is, to me, undeniable top-tier guy. But I just don't know what's going on there. And he's, hurt, rehabbing an injury.
Well, he's a year removed. He didn't play football this year. So he's going to be, by the time he takes the field, he'll be
16 months removed?
21 months
21,
removed,
okay.
right? Like, I think he'll be almost 2 years removed from that injury.
That's tough.
But I mean, we saw guys like Diggs come back in 8 months from an injury like that and look really good.
Mm-hmm.
So you give a guy 21 months, how concerning is the injury? He's also not 32. He's 27 years old. Maybe he'll be 28 by the time the next season starts.
I think it's his age 28 season.
Okay, so he's 27 now, but he'll be 28 by the time the season starts. So I'd be very interested in that idea. Like, to me, I think he'll cost more than that. I think some team is going to look at him and say, that was an amazing player only 2 years ago, and he didn't play football last year. His injury didn't just happen. It happened a while ago. And and he's young, so if I can get him on a prove-it deal for a year, like, I think the good teams are going to be in that market. Like, if I'm the Bills, if I'm the Ravens, if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm maybe not the Bengals, but teams that are contenders are the ones that I think are going to be lining up to say, come here, 1 year, whatever the money is, and come play with our great quarterback, and you're going to rebuild your value into one of the best receivers in football. Like, to me, he makes a lot of sense.
For desperate teams.
Not even, I think he's the best available receiver in free agency this year.
You just don't know
if
you're
he
going to
gets
get,
caught.
though. I think you have to be a little desperate to go this route.
What is different, though, about, like, what makes him so risky?
Him versus a draft pick?
Yeah. What makes him more risky than the other free agents?
What makes him risky is he signed a 4-year, $120 million contract, and a year and a half into it, he fell out of favor so terribly with his own team that they want him gone and say, you'll never play for us again.
He never had a good relationship with that team, though.
That may be true, but like that, you just, anytime that's happening, I'm going to commit, hundreds, 20s of $20 million?
Maybe.
It's just
but I'm not giving him a long-term deal. Like, to me, it's almost like the Cowboys getting Pickens. Like, I got a guy here that I have no idea what I'm going to get, and it could blow up in my face. But my commitment's only for 1 year, and then I can figure out what I want to do after that.
But that's great if you're the only team in on that. That's what I mean. A desperate team might be willing to commit more and take the gamble that you're not. Are the Bills a desperate team at that position? Debatable.
Yeah. Receiver?
Debatable. Debatable how desperate they are.
They're desperate for a guy that can play at the level that he's capable of.
I don't disagree. But they also can't miss. I mean, I don't know if the GM is afraid he's going to lose his job if he takes that big gamble and misses on that.
And that, to me, is where I would say he's at no greater risk to be a miss than any Josh Palmer level free agent that they would bring in and sign.
Right. Right. 803-0550. 1-888-550-2550. Thanks, Brad, for the phone call. Jeremy and Joe chatting with you about the Olympics, about receivers. It's a Friday. It's a beautiful Friday. TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. And Brad Ryder's going to join us coming up at 9 o'clock. Dave Buchanan at 8:30 on the Daytona 500, which rolls this weekend.